In this video we explain how you can use formatting rules in your report. Let's see where we start from, and that's a simple equipment list. We have some weights, we have model number, and what I want to do is change the background color to red, for example, if the model number is 0001. And a second example is the weight. If the weight here in a metric project, we use kilogram of course, but if the weight is greater than 500 kilograms, then the color should also be red. Okay, so how do we do that? We go into our layout, and the first thing we do is we need to define a style. There are several styles already defined, and if we look, for example, here on a cell and look at the properties, we see under style data field is used. If you want to know the details or if you want to modify that, you just make a right click, edit, and you see, okay, it's using Times New Roman, 10 pixel in height, so you can make your changes, your color, in this case the border color. So you can make modifications here, but what we want to do is create a new style. So we create a new style, make a right click, and then we edit this and we give it a name, for example red, and we change the background color, which is not set, and we set it to red. Okay, that's this. Now nothing happened so far, or nothing will happen. So let's use the first simple example. If the model number is 0001, then the background color or this style should be used. Okay, so we click on the cell and we go to styles and we see data field, which is not the style we want, but we click here on this little button at the end, and this opens a menu, and we use style expression. Now the expression editor opens, and you may be familiar with that because this is also what you can use for calculated properties in the report. And so what we want to do is check if the model number is 0001. So since I know the functions and I just can type it in, but you are not familiar, you can, for example, use these various groups, logical in this case, with if. You can compare it also to Excel formulas. So if, in this case, the model number, so now I go to fields and I use model number, you can filter, it's quicker. If this equals 001, then that's the style is supposed to be red. Otherwise, you just use a question mark. So this is how you set it. So now I click OK, and we check. And we see the background color changed. If you want to have the whole row in red, you need to define this expression for every cell. So you can copy the expression, you don't need to type it in every time, you can just use copy and paste, but you need to define the style or that expression for every cell. So now the more complex example, when the weight is greater than 500 kilogram. So in general we take the same approach, but now again we use if. So I type it in, I delete the closing bracket, and what we need is now we need from the weight everything from the left except the last 3 characters, which is a space and kg for kilogram. So the last 3 we do not need. So if you need everything from the left up until that, then we use the substring function. There are 2 types, we need the second one. We now use the weight. So from the weight, from position 0, which is the first character of that value. Most development languages use 1, but here it's 0. It's the first digit. And then we need everything but the last 3 digits. So we use len for length. That gives us the length of the weight in this case. And we subtract 3. So this is now the substring, but it's still a string. And if we want to use operators like greater or greater than or less than, then it needs to be a numeric property or value. So to do this, we convert this to and use to double. Of course, in my example, I could use to integer because it's always an integer number, but I cannot be sure. So I use to double. And so now we have actually the weight as a numeric value. And now we can use greater than 500 kilo or 500. And then if this is the case, if this is true, then we use red again. Otherwise the question mark, and we close the bracket at the end. Or yeah. So if you don't see any error messages here, then like I would do now, if I delete the last one, then it takes a while, but yeah, you get some syntax error. It's an instant check of your expression. But this should do it. We close and we preview and we see the result. So this again is a more complex example. So now we want to check if this really works, so we can be sure it's not a fake, and we will change the weight of the heat exchanger, for example, from 240 to 1240. We save the drawing, so the data now is in the database. But if you are in the layout, you will always get the old data, because the data is in the memory already loaded, and therefore it's still showing the old one. So you just close it and of course save it, and then if you click on preview, now you see that this is also colored in red. So these are 2 examples, a simple one and a more complex one, on how to use formatting rules for your layout. Talk to you next time.